The benefit you have with investment is, as I said, you control the purchase price, so you decide how much you ever want to pay. So you just do a very simple maths equation. It's back to your mobile phone with a calculator. You work out your figures. And if you walk away and it's got that horrible minus sign in it, then you don't bother. If it's got a nice plus sign in it with a nice figure next to it, then it's worth doing. But if I was renting out somewhere for $450 a month, would I put void insurance on it? No, I wouldn't bother. You just look at how your market is. Are you going to get voids if there's a high council demand? No. But if you've got a property you're renting out for $3,500 a month and it's worth $500,000 or $750,000, are you going to get voids? Potentially you will do. Do you want to carry that kind of hit on a monthly basis if you've got a mortgage to pay? No. The only people in the world who don't need insurance are billionaires, in my opinion. If they trash their Maybach, their Roller, their Bentley, whatever they've got, are they particularly bothered about buying another one? No. I'm not a billionaire, by the way. And neither is AJ. So, yeah, other things to think about when you're actually letting a property out. Sundry expenses, as I've said beforehand. Contingency there. The radiator starts leaking. How much are plumbers nowadays to call them out? They're only about $5, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. You know, cover your costs. Make sure you've got enough there in the bank. Don't touch your own money if you have to cover off any costs. Sundry expenses. Somebody rips a carpet. Somebody puts a hole. Somebody comes in high heels. Not me or not with my legs. Puts a nice hole in your flooring in your kitchen. So it looks not particularly pleasant, so you have to get that replaced. A couple of quid, but it's a couple of quid that should be coming out your rental income, not your own pocket. Any questions on that?
Collecting rent methods. What were you saying there?
All right, okay, yeah, sorry. Using a letting agent, obviously one way of doing it. Via your bank. Yeah, set up a direct debit, standing order. Very easy to just do it. I mean, I've got online banking. I can set up standing orders online. Very easy to do.
You can't compel the tenants to do that.
You can't, but at the end of the day, as I said, it's your property. If they don't want to pay by direct debit or standing order, off you go, not interested. Part of your criteria is rent is paid by direct debit or standing order. Very easy to do standing orders. You can just basically get a standard mandate, get them to fill it in. You give them your bank details, all perfectly legal. They set up a standing order on a particular date, and then that's paid directly to your account. If you want to, you can go down the direct debit route. Obviously, there are direct debit guarantees, but most DSS type lower value clients will be looking at. Good grief alive! Any paramedics in you? Are you all right, sir?
Want a glass of water?
Did you say something controversial?
Just standing order.
It was. He's just got one of my jokes from earlier, isn't he?
Yeah.
Are you okay? Do you want a break? No? Okay. I don't want a death on my first seminar. First death on a seminar. That's not good, is it? Through the post, not the best way of doing it, but people do send checks. One of AJ's...
Because you've got to keep going to the bank.
Exactly.
Really adds up.
Exactly. One of AJ's tenants still pays in by cheque, still sends it recorded delivery every time he sends it. Is AJ ever at home? No. Is he there to sign for the cheque? No. So, yeah, problematic. Face-to-face. Don't write it down. If you do, you're a fool. Who feels confident enough to go put on a black leather jacket, shave their head bald, and go and knock on the door and ask for their rental money? No, not worth it. If a tenant insists on paying you face-to-face, then they're not a tenant of yours. Simple as. You will have problems. You go around on a Friday afternoon, the kids are screaming, they've had a massive row. Are they going to rush to pay the rent? No, the hell is like. So don't do that. Stick to standard things like using a letting agent, direct debit, standing orders, or if necessary, and you do have the time to wander down the bank or your post office, if there's any left open where you live, then obviously do it by the post. But face-to-face is a real no-no. Any questions on that? No questions? My God alive. Expanding your portfolio. I'm going to go through this fairly quickly because it's not difficult.
I'm sorry.
Yes, I have to apologise.
Just about how do you preserve your capital? Because that was one of the areas I was really particular about. You said no one was make sure you rent your property and preserve your capital. What do you mean by that?
When did I say that? Reserve your capital.
It was on the list of the topics. preserving your capital.
Preserving your capital. I mean, basically that's just making sure your property is well maintained. Obviously, any property you buy is a capital investment, so you put money into it. If you let that property grow into a state of disrepair, then obviously that has a negative impact on your actual capital investment. So in essence, that's all it basically is. Just, make sure the tenants you have are going to look after it if possible. Make sure you do keep an eye on it to a certain point. I mean, AJ tends to go up to Scotland every couple of months just to look at his Scottish properties to see what's kind of state of repair they're in. But it's all about making sure that you've got sensible tenants in there and your property is kept in a good state of repair. I mean, I've known stuff down in Cardiff that's been rented out to students and the properties are literally falling apart around their feet. Now, is that property going to sell? Chances are no. Is it going to get any equity in it? No. What he still has is tenants paying their rent for now. So just simple things like that, And as I said, spending a couple of £100 painting and decorating every 12 months, which is what you should do with a rental anyway. With a buy-to-let, you should always spend a little money on it annually. Just if the carpets need to be replaced, cheap bit of lilo in the kitchen, in the bathroom. Don't put carpet in the bathroom. Doesn't take Sarah Beanie to tell you that, does it? Don't put, So yeah, things like that. Just basically, invest a small amount of money in the property just to preserve your capital. That's all it basically is.
One of the things that I found quite useful is I've got property just the other side of the airport here, and there's no shortage of tenants around the airport, and I don't use an agent for that property. I advertise, in and around Heathrow Airport, and what I prefer to do is instead of paying an agent's fee or commission, I use that money on a home care agreement.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I did have a flood.
Mm.
I had an old back boiler, leaked water, whole of the ground floor was under 4 inches of water. This one was with British Gas.
Yeah. I mean, it's Swalec, British Gas. And they all do them, don't they?
The whole thing. So
Yeah.
it covers electrics,
Yeah.
plumbing, or, the whole lot of central heating.
Yeah.
And it's much cheaper than paying 10% to the agent.
Exactly. Valid point. As I said, when you're looking at your rental income, if you need to, factor in things like that, then make sure you get enough yield to do it. So if you want to cover off all your bases, I mean, that's one of the things when James covered off risk. What risk category do you fit into? Are you quite happy to take the risk on a property that it's never going to cost you a penny to keep it up to date, keep up, with any repairs, anything that goes wrong? Then fine, you fit into one risk category. Or, like the gentleman said there, you do things like instead of paying a thieving letting agent to manage your property, use the money from that and use that for the property insurance cover off. I mean, there's things like if you bought a property and you put a new washing machine in, a dishwasher, fridge, freezer, you can get cover with some of the utility companies now, and it'll cover 5 electrical items. So if your fridge freezer packs up, your washing machine, your dishwasher, your tumble dryer, anything like that, if that breaks down, then it's covered under a warranty, it's covered under insurance as well. So things like that are worth looking at. But then you also have to look, if you buy a property for 40,000, it's a 2-bed flat in Scotland, in Glasgow, are you going to spend that kind of money on those kind of insurances? No, you're not. But if you buy something that's a HMO and it's going to get a high level of usage, you've got 5 or 6, pot noodle drinking, vodka, whatever it is, consuming students in there, then you need to make sure that you've got things in place to cover any eventualities.